Alrighty, folks, we are just about ready to get started in this Intermediate Tak Tournament match between PlutoTheBrave and EVRNjayhawker. Anyway, so we're going into this match here just a minute once they set up the seek and get ready to go. This is again between PlutoTheBrave and EVRNjayhawker, and this is the first match, I believe, of the Intermediate Invitational Tournament. And this was an invitational, which means that, certain people were invited based on their skill level to be in that intermediate range. Some of the people invited were the top 3 finishers in the beginner tournament we just had last month. And also some other folks that have been around for a while, but not quite in that top 10 range in TAC. We also have a fantasy TAC league sort of thing going for this, so you could predict the brackets and all that. And PlutoTheBrave, who just won the Blitz tournament of last month, I believe. He won the Blitz tournament, and he played phenomenally there. And he is definitely one of the favorites to win this whole thing. And I know he's in my fantasy bracket. That's why I brought that up. He's definitely in my fantasy bracket, so we'll see how he does here. This is fun. And they have created the seek. We are spectating the game, ready for them to make the first move. I have alerted them that I am ready. I believe they are ready. And here we go with the first move. Let's see if we get opposite corners. Okay. I do like opposite corners lately. And we'll see how they figure that out. Okay, so we are seeing a mirrored opening, but with the opposite corners, so slightly different than usual. And that is much more unusual as well. Pluto going off to the side. Instead of going down, where he already has momentum, he's going off to the side. Now black has the momentum. And white's going to have to regain that at some point. Except, no, black's given away that momentum of the vertical threat in order to place that capstone in that position that goes between these two flats, which gives him sort of the opportunity to not get that capstone isolated. He can capture on either one of those and still stay in the game. White then moving up across, blocking off that vertical threat. Black coming around, not letting him make this threat here. White's still pushing, and so this is actually a good position for white. I like this. White does have a momentum here. No capstone dropped yet. White's got position to make some sort of vertical threat and potentially a horizontal threat, depending on what else white can build around in this area. But this stone here at d6 kind of cuts that horizontal threat possibility off a bit. I have a feeling that, okay, so black is going to place down here to stop that continuing. Would we see a white capstone here at c2? Potentially. It would be a decent position, wouldn't be able to be isolated. It would not be, it would be offensive and it would be defensive at the same time. I actually have a video coming out on Thursday about capstone placement, and it'll cover all my top guidelines of how to place a capstone. And I think placing at c2 fits in most of them. Yeah, almost all of them. Yeah, all but one of my guidelines, it falls in there. So I think it's a good spot. And we do see white drop that capstone there. Particularly in this game, I like the capstone here because it can continue on a vertical or a horizontal threat for white. And it's also cutting off a lot of the power of black. Because black's going to take this capstone over here, most likely. And being able to cut that off with your own capstone is pretty huge. So blocking another capstone, blocking another road, blocking threats, those are big. We do see black building along into the vertical here. Black making the first tag threat of the game. Would not be surprised to see this white stone come down. That would be a way to combat it. And it would also further a horizontal threat and vertical threat at the same time. I do like it. Jay, we did see in the USTA Open of 2020, he had a pretty standout performance against fwwwwwibib. He played very well against fwwwwwibib, and it kind of shocked everybody that he played so much above his I guess rating online. And so we were all pretty surprised by that, and pretty pleased that we got another rising star in this TAC community. And these are both rising stars. Pluto with the big Blitz tournament winning. So he won, tying with NoHatCoder at the very end. So still a first place win. They both got first place. So being able to tie with NoHatCoder and beat folks in Blitz like Apple Monkey Man, that's huge. Black coming up with his capstone to make that threat again. White just filling in. We are seeing that fill in there, and that is dangerous because that's going to pop out, where black can just make that placement to fill in and make the next threat. And we could see this back and forth a few times. There we go. Will we see white's flat come down from e4 over here down to e3? That could be a way to stop this threat a little bit and kind of stave that off, but he does lose that anchor point connection up here. But I mean, much better than losing, right? So let's see what white does to respond to this. I mean, white's not in too much trouble here because white can cut off this threat with one of these at the same time. Decides to come over with the capstone, which is interesting, but I do kind of like it. It is a self-capture capstone because this was a friendly piece, but coming over keeps the black flat from capturing, also gives the capstone a friendly captive underneath to be able to spread out that stack a little bit, give that capstone a little bit more mobility. And that makes the cap a lot more powerful. Black's going to have to rethink their strategy here. I might see them start to go for a horizontal road coming down here at the bottom, though this capstone can interrupt that pretty well just by bringing it down. Instead, we're going to see black kind of go for that at the same time. So placing here at e2 I think is a really great move because it builds towards that vertical threat. Placing here would be a vertical threat. Also, it does move towards that horizontal threat direction. So I'd say that's a solid move. We see white building off to the side. Gonna go for that horizontal threat, it looks like. Coming over with this capstone to make that connection up here to e4. But I'm not sure how I feel about that. I kind of like going for vertical a little bit more at this point. But maybe that's just because I really like that move of spreading that capstone stack down. The spread would be a really great flat move in that it increases your flat count by your flat count differential, I guess is what we're calling it now. Taking the stack, moving it down 1, and then dropping the last 4 here. That would be a +1, -2, so a +3 move, which is pretty solid. Instead, we see black come up with this flat, making another attack threat here at e3. White filling in to keep that from happening. Black seems really committed to getting this vertical road. A little bit unwilling to shift directions and change where they're going. And we do see the placement at f3 to make that threat yet again. White is going to be forced to capture here. Black kind of driving this game, really making all the threats, keeping that momentum, just trying to make tack threat after tack threat to force these moves, force these captures. Forcing captures early on is pretty solid because it does allow to it does allow the player to create liabilities to be able to take advantage of. Throwing this d3 stack down, I really like. It's a good way to stop this. It also furthers more vertical lines, makes a really good flat move. I think that that's what he's eventually going to have to do. If he doesn't do it on this move, he will probably have to do it on the next. And it is, again, a +3 flat move. Granted, the black capstone can come down and recapture one of those stones on d2, but I'm not sure how helpful that would be for him. Coming over, I don't know if I like that move. Not sure how I feel about that one. Yes, it does sort of go towards that horizontal threat. It does stop the tack threat, the immediate tack threat. But, that's... I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. My gut's telling me not to. And my gut is kind of how I play. So the really good players, like Fwib and NoHat, they tend to do a lot of calculating. And I just kind of play by my gut. So that's probably why I'm not as good as they are. But we do see that capstone stack come down and the wall immediately drop from white, which, good play. That wall needed to come out. And I like it there for white. Won't be able to use it to free this captive here. Not that big of an issue because this is sort of pinned where it is. These flats on either side of d5 are good because they can stop any additional threat from going vertically at this point. But black placing at f2 says, yep, I am changing the direction. I'm going for that horizontal threat. White placing here to kind of go for that vertical threat, it looks like, and also to protect against the horizontal threat of black. I mean, black can just continue his threat from here. It's not a bad play. Placing also at f4 wouldn't be too bad because it would stop white from being able to make the double capture here. So white has to do something at some point to recapture both, because this stack, while it can capture up and it can capture down, it can't do both at the same time to make that road. And so something's got to give, basically, is what I'm saying. So can't do it all. Something's got to give. So we do see the f4 flat drop from black. I mean, the only tack threat that white can make at this point is bringing this whole stack up onto e4. Bringing the whole stack up would be a tack threat by spreading down, but not a great move, I don't think. Opens this up to be a wall, and then this can just be placed. Yeah, it's interesting. I did not expect that at all, because that, again, not a tack threat. And this horizontal threat is really what white's got to be looking out for at this point. Maybe white's expecting black to capture over onto this stack, but that wouldn't be a great move because white comes down with this stack, captures that to make the tack threat. I don't know if there are actually enough pieces at that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, on top of 5, and then 6. So, no, wouldn't be able to make the tack threat at that point on that recapture. Black going for that horizontal threat, making it. That is a tack threat. White has to respond, dropping the wall. Smart play. Again, this is a 2-game match. This is the first game. They each get a chance to play as white. And in this game, it looks like black is controlling everything. And so white is just having to respond to all of black's moves, which is typically what you see is the other way around. So really well played from Jayhawker. Come on, Pluto. I put you in my fantasy team, man. Let's see. And I know Reed, the organizer of this tournament, put Jayhawker in his fantasy team. So we'll see how that works out. And I think other people have also placed him in their fantasy teams. So anyway, fantasy teams are fun. I like bracket predictions. I like being able to see if I can figure out who's going to win. Okay, so we do see black come up, make that capture, take that stack. Again, no tack threat at this point. I'm a little surprised, honestly, that white recaptured that because it wasn't completely necessary. White could have kept building and made their threat, because building here at a5 would have been a tack threat because this capstone couldn't be captured. So it basically would have had to be responded to by moving d5 to the left. That was his only move to delay that. So I'm a little surprised at the capture there. Oh no. Ha! That's because it was a tack threat. Ah, okay. So that's why, because smashing this wall here would have been a very roundabout tack threat, of course. Yeah, I didn't see that. Good on Pluto for seeing that move, because I definitely would not have seen it. Well done. I like it. That was sneaky. That was sneaky. Yeah, I definitely would have lost right there. Well played, Hawker. Okay. All right. Maybe I should have put him on my team. This is turning out to be a solid game. Because white's not out of it yet, but black is making some solid threats. No tack threat from white. Black doesn't have to respond to it at this moment. He was probably hoping to catch white off guard with that wall smash, because that was really roundabout. I mean, coming all the way around and making that smash to continue that road. That's crazy. It's a great road. But now black has to change his plans, figure out what to do next. Black definitely can't smash that wall now. That would be bad news for him. Dropping a wall here to stop white from eventually building that direction. Safe play, for sure. I agree with that play, because later on down the road, black's going to want to keep building this horizontal threat. And putting this wall here stops this capstone from interrupting that horizontal threat. White getting ready to make his own threat. I believe if black doesn't do anything about this, white's next move will be to bring up, let's see, how many can he bring up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can't bring up all of these, because that would leave the black here and leave a road for black. So he can leave a white there, make that tack threat, but it wouldn't be Tinue. So yes, he'll be able to make a threat by bringing up these top few pieces, but he cannot make Tinue because this d5 can move over to the left. But if he places here at c5, that would stop that, and he would be able to make that Tinue progress, but black would have momentum, be able to start making this road first. So white would have to respond to this before making that c4 placement. What are we going to see from white? Is he going to place this c4 first, or place a wall here at a2 after black places at b2? Both valid moves. I kind of like just placing at c4 and then dropping the wall right away. No, he doesn't go for that. He goes for a capture. Interesting. Ooh, I know why. Because this capture allows him to bring up the top 6. Oh, he can do it now. That's Tinue, right? That's a Tinue move. So if he brings up the top 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom. That's Tinue. That would be it. I don't think there's anything black can do to stop that. Yep, and he does it, makes the move. That capture up onto e2 was ideal because it forces this to happen, allows him to make this move, interrupts that whole smash road threat, unpins the capstone. Really, really well played. Allowed for this Tinue move. There's nothing black can do. That is just delayed by f6 coming down. Then d5 will come left, and then he'll just spread that stack off to the left and cover it up for the win. Well played. It was an excellent Tinue. It was an excellent Tinue for sure. Because he knew he had to do something to interrupt this threat and get black to move away from it. Stop that. Keep it from being immediately renewed. So that was really well done. Jay just missed it. That's why Pluto's on my team. Those good moves. Pluto's on my team actually because in the Blitz tournament he absolutely stomped me. Like nobody beat me as badly as Pluto did in the Blitz tournament. Like he just absolutely stopped me. So that's why he's in my team, because I feel like he did pretty dang well. And you know, winning also helps. Alrighty. It looks like Jay is trying to figure out if there's something he can do here, but he does not have an option. He makes the move we all knew was coming, and then Pluto will make the winning move with the road. Well done. Well played both players. Like, excellently played from both of you. That was really fantastic. A lot of fun to watch. And we do get a second game in this match. It will be Pluto as black and Jay as white in this second game. And that was pretty close. Black controlled that game for a big part of it. White just really hoping to set up that Tinue there at the end. Able to get it set up, make it happen. Really, really well done. And here we go with game 2 of the Pluto and Jayhawker match. This time with Jayhawker as white and Pluto as black. Okay, and we do see it come right out with adjacent corners this time. Pluto wanting to take it back to the normal with the mirrored opening that we see so often in 6x6. Interested to see him play at d2 first instead of d5. But I can see it. Ooh, black not going with a capstone on the next turn. Instead going to play a flat stone here. Interesting decision. White changing directions, going for the horizontal here. Black dropping that capstone, saying, all right, I'm going to cut you off over here. You're not going to be able to make that threat that you want to. White building across here at e2. I don't like e2 as much as I would have liked maybe d1. Because d1 still makes that same directional threat horizontally and makes the directional threat vertically at the same time, and further isolates this capstone a little bit more. Capturing over with that flat would have isolated the capstone, and that would have been great. So now white's going to have to look for something on this next turn. Does make that tack threat. Black can easily cut that off, probably by dropping that capstone down, maybe even placing here at a2. But white is going to be looking for a position for that capstone. So we will see where he decides to place it after black makes his defensive move. I expect either a flat placement here or this capstone coming down. I think those are the two most likely moves that we'll see here. And I bet that white has a response already locked and loaded for both of those, but instead black making the capture up at the flat. Interesting. Now, white does not want to drop his capstone here, most likely. It does help in an offensive and defensive way at the same time, but it is along this edge. And if black wanted to, they could just bring this capstone down, something like that. Maybe really get in the way of white. And so white does not want to drop a capstone here. A flat would be pretty good. Gonna have to save that capstone move for another time. I wouldn't be surprised to see black drop a flat here at C1. But then we might see A2 be played. Or we might see D1 plus be played here. Capturing off this stack. And that's what we do. We see that capstone come down. Will we see a capstone from white replace it at D3? Yes, we will. Make that capstone, come back over for that tag threat here. White is going to be behind in terms of momentum. Black does have the momentum here for making that threat. White won't be able to make their first threat by placing at E3. It'll just lead to C6, and then there will be two responses from white. Three responses, really. Moving this up, moving this down, moving this over, moving this over. So white has a number of options right now. They don't have to make their defensive move yet. They can wait for the next turn, or they could get out ahead of it, see what they can do for that. I actually wouldn't be too mad about a B3 placement here. Then bringing that C2 up would be pretty good. It'd be able to be recaptured by a flat or the capstone. Come over with that, and that would be a pretty good positioning here. Instead, white going to place up here at E3, making it towards that vertical threat, counting on probably moving this up to stop that vertical road. Instead, bringing the capstone over. Okay, interesting play there. It is nice to capture with a capstone because you aren't creating those flat liabilities that a flat capture does. What I mean by liabilities is when you leave behind one of the enemy flats, a captive underneath your flat, because that can be recaptured at some point and then used against you. Black filling in at D3, not making a tag threat, but 2 moves away. So dropping here at D1 and then capturing over with E4 to D4 would be a road. So dropping a D1 as a tag threat or capturing over is a tag threat. White instead can make their own tag threat, dropping here at A2, which would be a horizontal tag threat coming down with D4, but that would lead to E4 coming across for sure, creating that tag threat, which would lead to this capstone coming up to C5. So yeah, there are a lot of forced moves that could be happening right now. Jay is probably thinking about which line he wants to force. Comes down instead. I don't know if I like that move. It is a tack threat. Placing at A2 would be tack. But it gives this capstone an opportunity to capture another captive. Not a great thing in almost any case. And we're seeing this in both games now. Black was actually pushing the momentum, which is unusual, like I said in the previous game. Additionally, this tournament is played with no Comey. The Blitz tournament, I believe, had a 3 Comey, and Pluto did say that he felt that that was a little high. And he felt that that gave a little bit too much advantage to black in the Blitz tournament, because Blitz, yeah. But not quite sure how that works, if it helps. Don't have enough data on that yet. But this is played with no comey, so it's just going to be flat who wins. White dropping that wall allows for a recapture of this stack at some point. Black would then not be able to smash that wall to recapture this stack because dropping those 3 pieces would be devastating. Not something you want to have happen. White hoping to be able to free that on one of the next few turns. Dropping here at A2, then coming up with D2 would be a really solid play. Not Tinue, but it would be good. Again, this is not a tack threat, but it is a pretty solid position. White bringing that capstone, that wall up. Would not be surprised to see White play here at A3. Black was ready to drop that wall here at A2 to stop this threat. I am surprised that he played at B3 instead of A3 here. But B3 might be better. Hard to say. Black trying to figure out what to do here to stop White. White is now driving the game. Okay, Black dropping that wall, getting ready to come over and cut off all of White's threats before they can make the next tack threat. Very defensive move, but very strong at the same time. Now, if White decides to play here maybe at B1, this is where I think it would be a great excuse for Black to start playing maybe here at B4 or at B5. Start making that horizontal threat, because throwing this capstone across, spreading it here and then here would connect it to this side of the board. We do see White make that tack threat. Black then coming over with that wall to cut it off as planned. White likely going to be placing here at D1. No, White going upwards. Going to make that vertical. Black going to try to cut that off and also make their own horizontal threat. Placing on the next turn on A6 would be a horizontal tack threat for Black. Not too easy to see. Capstone blindness is a thing. People forget about that capstone being part of that road, and that can be a big problem. As we saw for me in the last game, missing that beautiful tack threat from Jayhawker. Now, this is a tack threat from Black. We'll see if Pluto spots it. He will have to either play... Yeah, he will have to make a capture here in order to stop this threat. There's no placement that he can make to stop it. So placing here or throwing this capstone across and spreading to E3 and F3 would be the road. So if White places here at F4, it wouldn't work. Capturing up does work. Placing at F4 might be a good idea. And then maybe move up the whole stack. No, instead he's going to place at F3. That's good. Yeah, it's a direct, immediate tack threat. Coming up, I assume Black is going to capture this stack because that's going to be pretty strong for them. Is continuing that tack threat. And now he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stones and then 1 left behind. So he can move this capstone across and also make that same tack threat, dropping 1 black and then the rest of the pieces, the top 5 here for the road, or placing here for the road. White's going to have to come across or up, maybe with the capstone, maybe across with a flat stone. One of those 2 things is going to happen. Coming across with a flat stone would delay it for 2 turns as opposed to just the 1 with the capstone. So we do like that coming across. Gives white a little bit more time to come up with their own threat, maybe change the momentum of this game. Also, there's a consideration of... No, I don't think that would be good. Okay, so the black capstone does come up. We'll probably see black just place here at d5 to renew that threat. Additionally, if black does not make a attack threat here, white can make their own attack threat by placing at d1. Very squeaky chair. So black's going to have to respond here. I like the best offense, or best defense is a great offense move right here, which would be placing a d5, force that response to attack threat, force white to respond in that way so the white can't make their own attack threat. I like that. Also, placing, putting more flats on the board, always a good move. So we do see d5 come out. White move upwards. Black again placing. You can see white coming across here up to c6. If white does go up to c6, what is black's plan? Black can no longer renew any attack threat. Building off to the side, getting ready for that. And so this does a couple things. It helps stop this vertical threat. It also helps continue a horizontal threat for black going that direction. It also is able to cut off a horizontal threat from white by white placing a d1. White comes across, makes that vertical attack threat. Black spreading across, making their own vertical attack threat. That's where we see white's wall come up, make their own attack threat, and cut off black's attack threat at the same time. Black fills in down here to stop that from becoming a road. White's going to have to do something about this pretty soon. This wall is going to have to come around, maybe move around a little bit to stop that from being in play. We do see both of these capstone stacks are pretty tall. Let's see, are they the same height? They are the same height. They are both carrying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flats. So this is the carry limit. They can lift the entire stack that they have, both of them. It's hard to say who's winning right now. Black does have a little bit more momentum, I think, at this point. Just because black still has some avenues for attack threat, whereas white doesn't really at this point. White would need to have black move that capstone in order to have any sort of threat going on. Black, on the other hand, can just place here at e5 for attack threat. This wall would have to come up at that point, or this flat stone. Oh, he's instead placing up at e6. That way he can probably continue it by placing at c5, which he does. White brings that stack over. Black cannot smash that wall or it would result in his loss because it would create a road for white. Important to note. Black can, however, bring this wall over first and then smash. Or place here at a5. Good placement at a5. What that does is it allows this capstone to come up for a attack threat on the next turn. Allow that to go. I like the placement at a5. I think that's good. A3 coming up is basically threatening A5 again. Black does make the attack threat by placing at F6. So white's going to have to respond in some way. Goes up there, going to have to make 2 moves to make that threat. I like black coming across with this. Black capturing B2 with the wall is a great play, I think. It would probably result in a flat at C3, and then the wall comes up, and then this capstone can smash this big stack and have a lot of power in there. And it'd be really difficult to stop a capstone with that many friendly pieces underneath. While it wouldn't be a hard capstone with its friendly immediately below for a wall smash victory, it would still be very strong, very hard to beat. I think thinking several moves ahead here, capturing over with the wall, white places here, black captures up, then white does something else, and then black smashes this. White would probably have to move this stack somewhere else to keep it out of reach of the capstone. Black instead playing at A4, not attack threat, gives white a little bit more room to move here and a little bit more room to breathe. Black might be placing here at A4 to capture over and force a recapture by this flat, or for the capstone to come down, one of those two. White not making attack threat, but is solidifying their position. Let's see, what do we got here? What is going down? What is black gonna do to fend this off? Black is gonna make that capture, make that attack threat. Now, white's got a few options here. White can capture over onto A5 with B5, and that would likely result in A6 coming down onto A5, which would renew that attack threat and force either this stack to move up or this capstone to move down. One of those two things would happen. I imagine this stack would move up. Stack moves up already, staying out of reach of that capstone. Smart move there. Ooh. I'm thinking about something else, a different potential move. Coming over maybe with one of those flats to potentially set up a wall smash there. No, that would lead into a victory for white. Never mind. That's just too large of a stack to worry about smashing walls at this point. It's got to be a winning move to smash a wall. Otherwise, it results in a loss here. All right, so now white has to do something to make a threat. Can't just rely on this capstone being pinned forever. Got to do something. No longer has an anchor point on this left side. White does have an anchor point on the bottom. Can start going north, maybe. Not really. White's in a bit of a pickle here. right, let's look at the flat count, actually. Let's see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white. So black is in the lead when it comes to flats as well. That is something to look out for at this point. Black making another tack threat here. Going for that horizontal tack threat. Filling in. We could see white place here at d4, which would result likely in a placement maybe at e4. White's got to do something to stop that threat. White does make the placement of a flat in that spot. I can see e4 being played. I don't like d3 as much because it offers d2 the chance to come up and capture that. So d4 does go left on to c4. Trying to see what white is going for here. So black now trying to go for that. Placing here at d4 would be a tack threat by moving this capstone down. White might be trying to eventually maybe take c2, capture c3, bring the capstone down, smash the wall for a road. That might be what they're going for. It's hard to say. They do fill in at d4 to keep that from being placed, but e3 works just as well. And that does make the tack threat. Black coming down with that capstone would create the road. So white has to make a capture, makes that capture. Black filling in with a flat. All right, so how will white respond to this? Will white respond by capturing over? Don't know how that would work out. Black is definitely in control right now. White does capture over, not a tack threat for anyone. Black has one flat left. He can just place it and win. That is the game, it looks like. So Pluto has won both of these games in this match. He does pick up all the points for that. So congratulations to Pluto. Well played, Jayhawker also. Those were some fun games. It was fun to watch for sure. And both players played pretty well. Especially that first game, I loved that loopy road that Jayhawker had made that I completely missed until Pluto responded to it. And then we also got to see a great Tinuay at the end of game one. And then at the end of this game two, we do see just some great flat play, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of threats being made from both players. So yeah, great games, a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out. Be sure to check out the future games in this Intermediate Invitational Tak Tournament. Be sure to check out the description at the bottom of this video to see all the Tak resources that we have available to us, including the playtak.com website where you can play folks online. Also, the rules for the game so you can learn it. Check out the videos on my channel for how to play Tak. Check out the subreddit. Especially check out the Tak Discord server, which is the community hub. It's where everybody goes to talk about Tak, find players to play with, where we organize all these tournaments and everything. It's all on that Tak Discord. That is the place to be. If you're unfamiliar with Discord, Discord is a audio and text chatting web application and mobile application, and it's super easy to use, doesn't cost a thing, and you don't even have to download anything if you don't want to. Thanks for checking it out, thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.